So I've finally got a date locked in for my landscape photography exhibition this summer. It's going to be at Lancaster City Museum and it's going to be from July the 18th till September the 26th. So I'm super excited, and like I've mentioned in the past, I'd love for you guys to come and visit. Prints and stuff are going to be on sale, but it's just free to get in anyway if you want to come and have a look around. The museum itself is quality as well if you've never been, by the way. But yeah, super excited to get some proper official dates locked in, of course. And today's adventure, I am in Lancashire. I've sacked off Cumbria for one of my adventures because, as I've mentioned, I've got this quest to try and get 2 or 3 decent photographs around Lancashire, around the city of Lancaster if possible. And today I've come to an area of outstanding natural beauty which is called the Forest of Bowland, and the specific location where I am, honestly, it's only about 15 minutes drive from Lancaster, which is awesome. I live in Lancaster myself, so it's really nice for me to shoot properly local. You know, I spend most of my time in the Lake District and Scotland, and the lakes are really close to Lancaster as well. However, this is another level of local. 15 minutes drive, and it is incredibly rural and really, really beautiful. I don't know Lancashire at all. I definitely don't know it in terms of landscape photography, but this is a really, really good start. So I've picked out a really small, specific location here in the Forest of Bowland because it's quite a vast area, and I'm just going to focus on it. And I'll be happy today, even if I just, see it as a little bit of a recce, a little bit of a scout, to come back and try and get that all-important photograph for my exhibition. So fingers crossed that it's going to be nice and worth photographing. But as always, guys, I would love for you to join me. So let's crack on. So as most of you guys know, I am from Cumbria. I was born there and I was brought up there, and I'm incredibly proud to call myself a Cumbrian. However, and something that I've never really spoken about on this YouTube channel, I've never spoken about it because it's irrelevant to what I'm doing, it's not important. But for secondary school, I moved here to Lancaster and thus to the county of Lancashire. So of course that meant in school I learned a lot about the history of the county of Lancashire, which revolved around the Industrial Revolution and factories and the cotton industry, all that sort of stuff. So I was conditioned into believing that the whole of the county of Lancashire was just industry and factories, and that now that I'm into landscape photography, that it's not necessarily worth exploring, with my camera, because it's all just factories, which is just ridiculous. It's my fault. I was conditioned into believing that. But I'm slowly starting to realise that the best thing that my photography exhibition has given me so far is this desire to want to explore Lancashire and the greater Lancaster area a little bit more, because I don't think I would have really had that desire if my exhibition hadn't have happened. So that's mint, because this place is absolutely gorgeous so far. And you know what? Of course it hasn't got the ruggedness that I adore in the lakes and in Snowdonia in Scotland and these places, but it's got its own charm. It's real sort of quintessential English countryside, a lot like Shropshire actually, which is always a nice place to be reminded of. And if you followed me for a while, you know that I spent a lot of time down there. And yeah, I'd really like to think that even after my exhibition, I will come out and explore here and really, really enjoy it. It's almost like reignited this passion that I've got for the UK as a whole, and made me realise that I've still got a hell of a lot to explore, and there's still a hell of a lot more inspiration out there. So that is wonderful. Now, I think I'm about 5 or 10 minutes from that specific location that I said I wanted to explore. So I'm looking forward to getting there, getting the back down on the floor, and to start thinking a little bit more about landscape photography. So let's crack on. So, you'll never guess what, we've got hailstones again. This time I've got the waterproofs, so I'm a little bit more prepared. I found a nice shot. Let's see what we can get. So fortunately, that little hailstone storm passed by pretty quickly. Actually, one thing that's really good about today, which actually leads on nicely from the last video I released about how we should get out and shoot in the middle of the day, is that the weather conditions are really changeable. So we're getting this gorgeous fleeting light, you know, the clouds are moving quickly, we're getting the occasional bit of precipitation like you've seen, which is just fantastic. It's making for some really, really nice conditions for us to shoot in. Now, where I spoke to you guys earlier on, admittedly I found it a little bit uninspiring. I am going to walk back through that way. I think there's potential there, but at the time it wasn't quite doing it for me. And one reason is because right up in the distance through this valley that we're in, I could see this collection of Scots pine trees. And I kept checking on my OS maps on my phone, and I could see that they were kind of surrounding this river here that's called the Marshall Wire. And I just really wanted to go down and investigate. And now I'm here. I'm so glad that I came down here. You can see we're set up here for what is going to be the first photograph of the day. And I think it's going to be wonderful. If not anything, I think I've found a beautiful location that I can return to. And you might notice in a minute, a few cars have been coming past, but we're right next to a road, which is awesome for me because it's going to be so easily accessible if I want to come back here in better conditions. Now you can see this beautiful scene here of Scots pines and this gorgeous river that's kind of meandering and curving through it. You know, it's a beautiful, it's almost like a nice little S-curve leading through this small section of, I don't know, sporadic forest. Absolutely beautiful. And of course you guys know how much I love Scots pine trees. Super photogenic. Now the river itself, I did want to mention, I'm deliberately not using a polarizer, and that's for two reasons. Firstly, just because I like the glare on the top of the river, I want to capture it. It's a nice sort of silver colour. Secondly, if I was to cut that glare off from the river, it's the waters are kind of rusty orange colour that I don't really like. Well, obviously it's the riverbed that is that colour. And yeah, I just don't particularly like it. I prefer the sort of silver glare that's on the top for once. But yeah, there's not really a lot else to say. I'm shooting fairly wide at 16mm with the 16 to 35 lens because I want to capture this whole scene. It's absolutely beautiful. And I really do think I'm capturing the emotion of this area really well with this photograph. Now I am bracketing. I'm taking 3 photographs, and the base, the middle exposure is f8, ISO 100 and 1/200th of a second. So fairly simple settings. I'm just trying to make sure that we're getting the exposure correct because the dynamic range is fairly tricky to play with. But yeah, I think I'm going to be happy with this one. I've got really nice visions of how beautiful it could look here. Early morning, dawn, maybe with a little bit of fog and some gorgeous side light. But like I say, this is super accessible for me, so I'm probably going to return to here. But I'll pop this image up for you guys to see. I hope it gives you a nice idea of how beautiful it is here. And I'm going to head on back to where I've come from. Hopefully I can get another photograph, but we'll see. So if there's one thing that I always want these videos to be, it would be honest. I always want to give an honest account of my landscape photography adventures when I come out with my camera. And in line with that, admittedly, I'm starting to feel now a little bit uninspired. Obviously at the start of the video I was super excited, I couldn't wait to go out and explore. It's nothing to do with the landscape or the area or anything, it's just the way that I feel. And it's completely normal, it's something that I've come to accept. There's tons of times where I come out and I start off and I'm feeling really excited, and by the end of it, it's just downhill and I just want to go home. I can't be bothered anymore. There's loads of times I come out and it's the opposite. I don't really fancy coming out with my camera, and by the end of it I'm absolutely buzzing and I'm so glad that I came out. It's just the norm, it's just landscape photography, it's that simple. However, I do think it's been a successful mission today, because like I said, I wanted to come out and see if I could find a suitable scene, a suitable photograph to use for my exhibition. And with that image that I just got, I don't think the conditions were perfect, but I know I can come back and try and get that image in better conditions. So it's been a success. With that being said, I'm going to end the video there because I'm off to Scotland tomorrow and I need to get home and pack. So stay tuned, probably the next 1 or 2 videos will be in Scotland. And yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this adventure. Please give the video a like if you've got a quick second, always appreciated. And thank you guys so much for the support. Cheers, and I'll see you on the next one. Out.